Okay, so this is just something that I'm just doing for testing of myself. So I think it's important that we always look at daily structure. So don't be scared to flip out and zoom in and out and flip your time frames around, because every time frame is very relevant. The important fact is, when we're looking at what price wants to do, is to first of all use of a trend line. I use a bit of fibs and that sort of thing for technical reasons why it will react to it. And there is something on MetaTrader that we did incorporate. I wouldn't mind sharing that. It does help. This is just part of a strategy. But what do we see currently has happened? And it's important to understand structure. So in this area, first of all, I want to see where prices come from. We can see prices broke out of a flag pattern, it consolidated and continued up. So what I mean with the flag, let's just get this story straight first. So it's important to use these tools just for references. What we can see, let's just do analysis on this thing on daily first of all. This might be quite a long video. It's not meant to be very long, but it's important. Daily, I think, is important on most charts, especially I think if you start specializing in indices. There's a lot of things that can happen with it, but we can clearly see a flag pattern and it broke out. And then we saw a bit of a pause in the market. And what I want to do is to just highlight the highs and the lows of this, and I will label this as a pause or consolidation, whatever it might be, and we'll look for things like trend lines to say if it's bearish or bullish. And what I want to, I think from this structure is important, because I did see a bit of a consolidationary zone here as well. So it is a bit of a, this nature of this thing is interesting to me personally, and this is why I want to analyze it. So I want to take it from the low of this trend, and we can see that there was an imbalance that was there, and we could have taken sells on this break into this imbalance. This is clear in hindsight. I think when the market is going, it's important to keep your charts drawn. You can argue that this has never broken through, and maybe if we can just go to a lower time frame, maybe a 4 hour, it gives you a bit more detail. But that just help you with your bias. And clearly over here, this picture becomes a bit clearer to me personally. I can see it much clearer, and I can see why it rejected there. So this is consolidation, and what I can do as well with a bit of a tool is the high and the low. I can see that it reacted off this level, and in my opinion, this is supposed to have given us already a bit of a rejection. So this is an extended level now. I can, in my opinion, in this level, I will start looking for sales in this range. This is the range I'm going to be looking for sales. The reason is on the extended level of the fib, of the structure of the market. It broke out of a trend, and yes, we can argue that it went for this point of interest over here, created equal lows, and potentially now we are just running below this bullish trend. So there is a change of character that happened over here. Change of character normally means we will wait for price in this range that it broke out. Let me just do the fib correctly. And if it's not accurate enough, we will revise it. But what we can see now on this level, and maybe I will just invert it to get a minus 27 level as a point of interest, but you can see that these levels are indicating if it reverses, and currently doesn't look like that. If it does break out, this might be a potential low to be taken out. And this is the power of this analysis tool. Because sometimes the reward gives, and there's a huge imbalance over here, which does align quite nicely with this. And with all odds, I think if we pass through, we will likely, if there's a correction happening, and the data needs to give us this alignment, we need to come and see what it does as well. So on the 91%, we can see this wicking zone, so we can refine this down maybe. And maybe I'll just use a tool like this. This is the biggest risk reward that you can get. So we can't guarantee what price will do. We can't guarantee it at all. So we can potentially look for sells in something like this. There is other tools that we can use, but maybe we must just refine it a little bit. So we can see why it broke out of trend was for imbalance over here. And now my question is, will we break this thing? If it breaks, we can start looking for other things. But already on this 4-hour chart, I can start seeing more imbalances on this thing. And below it, there is imbalances. There's a huge imbalance over here that it will likely come and fall. All these lows that has been created need to be mitigated in the future. And I can go down on this as well. There's an imbalance and I can carry on. How big of a trade this is becoming, and people will judge me and say, why are you looking for sales? But I'm looking at what I can potentially risk versus what can happen potentially. So over here, I just want this thing to show me stronger reaction. And potentially, I mean, if we need to wait for confirmations, but this is becoming a massive correction that is potentially on the way. 1 to 40 it's becoming. And we just need to wait for confirmations. So I will look for maybe on the 1 hour. I want to see for some stuff that can potentially happen on the 1 hour. My rule says on a 4-hour basis, the last bullish candle in the last bearish candle in the bullish trend, and the last bearish candle in the bullish trend. So the last bullishness we saw before prices broke down was here. This is where we saw our last bit of sellers. So hopefully, if the data does align, we can start looking for potential sellers over here. And I think it already triggered a little bit last night in the 1 hour. It did trigger a little bit of sells. There's some data coming, and what I can see forming here as well, and that's what we must watch out for, is I want a confirmation with a break of this trend. Because each trend will liquidate eventually. It's a slower build-up. It's not an aggressive sell like this. This was quite bullish, and in my opinion, this is an inducement, and I think it will be soon. And we can start looking for price action on maybe a lower time frame. And what we can see here is an imbalance that was created. And maybe on the 5 minute, we can start seeing something over here. This might potentially be a very good entry. So let's see what it does. I want to incorporate maybe see the narrower this range gets, and as you can see, this is also tying up with another thing of that I'm saying this is out of character for the thing to push up so high. We'll wait to see for reaction maybe over here in this imbalance, and just keeping an eye on this thing can give us potential for massive downsides, guys. There is something dramatic that will likely occur soon. I can't say what exactly, but this is also, if I'm looking about it like this, a consolidation area This is what I see as an inducement up. This is ranging. It's still within range. It didn't break out yet. So until I can say that my analysis is wrong, in theory, I can see rejection from here already. There started already a bit of rejection. It is below a trend. It's testing the trend line. It is at a premium price. This is the all-time highs we can potentially see. And there is tons and tons and tons of imbalances going down all the way. So if it stops me out, maybe we can use another tool. Let's just delete everything. Just take a shot of this thing. And let's remove everything quickly. So technically, we have not broken this. And this is a double top. Double top. Okay. What we can do as well is high to low range. And maybe if it does give what I call a fake out. Just remember that these levels are very critical to react to it. I did find a lot of reaction to these things. And maybe it can give us an entry for a fake out move. Maybe it just does this. It fakes out and does that. NASDAQ did quite recently a very similar move like that. And the trend line is there, waiting for it to show that it is potentially going to break out. So it's not long, guys. We must just be patient. Potential is there. We'll see where it goes.